I think the one thing that I've seen that is a huge challenge with parenting these kids is their level of exposure. And sometimes you underestimate what they know. So you may think you're telling them something new, kumbe they learned about it about 3 years, 4 years ago. I mean, when you think about something like as simple as the sexuality of a child, I mean, these kids are getting to know about these things when they are in their 7 years, 8 years. They know so much. And again, the media exposure is not helping because you see, we grew up in this bubble where your parents could control what you're watching on TV. You remember when we grew up, I don't know whether it was the same for you, but we didn't even have remote controls. It was those TVs where you used to turn a knob.
And there was a whole kabati
Yes,
that
and
had
there
a
was a
padlock.
kabati that had a padlock, and the key was restricted. I mean, not everybody could access
Like
it.
TV screen
Yes.
time was very limited.
Now you're dealing with a kid that is exposed to a smartphone, and they have not grown up with any sort of control where you can impose a certain restriction on them. So as we grow and as we raise these kids, you actually realize that the parameters of control are becoming blurred every other day. You know, you used to think you have this much control. You actually realize you have lesser control than you know. So what I resorted to actually doing is, as opposed to trying to create control, now I realize I have to shift and start doing what I call parenting the conscience. So that now you try to instill a certain value system without now necessarily trying to control the freedom. Because I've realized with these kids, the more you try to control freedom, the more they show you don't have as much control as you have. You know, I mean, to the extent that sometimes when I have a problem with my smartphone, my kid will be the one coming to sort it out. And I'm the owner of the smartphone and I don't know.
They know much
they
more
know
than
much
you
more
do.
than you. So I think you have
it's
to...
your phone.
And it's your phone. You spend the most time with it and they know more about that
bought
phone than
it
you.
with your money.
In
You
fact,
know?
we were just watching the World Cup recently with my wife and our kids, and we were realizing this kid, we've never watched football in our house. They know almost all the players, and we are thinking they are schooling us into something that, you know, we have, you know, been exposed to before. So I think you get to realize that their exposure is beyond what you know. Yeah. When you think that you're trying to take them to church to sing gospel songs, wameshasikiliza kuna kuna na wewe uko huko unajaribu, you know. So I think you've got to get to a place where you focus more on conscience and trying to instill a certain sense of values, and also being aware that you may not be able to like regulate what they do all the time. And just give them that space to also make decisions as you parent them, but you realize you're instilling conscience is the most important thing. Yes, yes, yes.
So as a mother, I'm assuming, you know, mothers spend the most time with them. What are some of the challenges that you faced with your Gen Zs? We'll talk about the alpha later. With your two Gen Zs.
Like every time I say something, the next thing that follows is a why.
Why?
That really irritates me a lot because by the time I'm telling you, get that glass to the kitchen. Mom, I'm doing this. Let me finish this, and then no, take it now. Why, Mom? I'll still, you know, that the why really irritates me a lot. So I have to keep working on myself because I've realized that I think this is something that is not about to change. Yeah, because we have talked about it, but it's not changing. So you get to a point where now you accept it and you start telling God, now work on me to know how to, and give me wisdom.
You should know how many of those prayers I've made.
Exactly. To give me wisdom to just know how to deal with them in a way that will not bring conflict in the house. Because you realize that most of the time, we are fighting, we are in a conflict, and that is not what you want as a mother, especially for me, because most of the time I'm a stay-at-home. That is my main job. Of course, I work from home, but most of my time is parenting. So you don't want to be in a house where there's no peace. You know, and again, you know, you cannot impact somebody that you're not at peace with. You know, so I think the why has really imeletea mashida mengi, but I'm working on myself to be able to know how to go about it so that it doesn't bring conflict in the house.